The word silencer, don't underestimate that name, because that's what it is. All the banging and smashing and loudness that stirs cattle up, it's not there. The big feature is that it's got the squeeze, so the cattle can't go backwards and forwards. But as far as AIing cows or preg testing cows, just put the squeeze on while you go in behind. You've got a kick bar on that, but you don't need that. By using the silencer, I believe we just cut down on probably 1 unit of labour. I mean, if you're not going to make it comfortable and safe for your staff, well, in the end, it's a job they don't like doing. If you use these systems, you can cut your units of labour down. I mean, there's a big place for the smart girl, like they can do anything in them. So, which we prove here, we employ girls, and daughter works here. And when you open yourself up to the smartest labour, you don't actually end up having to find the toughest labour. You get the smartest, most intelligent labour. It's the way of the world. I mean, good labour's hard to get.
Yep.
Experienced labour's hard to get.
That's right.
I mean, number one, you don't want people to be hurt when they're working for you.
It makes things easy to do on your own. So I can come in and I can induct cattle or treat things on my own. Squeeze them up, it just holds them in place and they don't tend to struggle or anything, so you don't need a kick gate.
The thing around that lower squeeze is we're trying to stop those animals coming into that crush, rushing into a crush, hitting the front door.
That's right.
You know, stress, bruising.
Exactly right.
So you're exactly right. Set that lower squeeze.
Yeah.
But if it's an animal that's balking a little bit,
Yeah.
you'll open it up.
Yeah.
If it's going to rush, you'll do the opposite.
That's right. Yeah.
We've had them for, I don't know, about 3 years, I suppose. Yeah, we were getting animals hurt and people hurt. I thought there could be a better solution. We're not getting any animals hurt, we're not getting any people hurt. They're faster, more efficient. I think they're fantastic. We were putting more cattle through faster, and we were having to move people from the front of the feeder part of the crush to the back so that we could keep up. The minute that animal feels that it's enclosed and it can't move, then it doesn't move, it just stands still. The key to these crushes is setting up the floor right. Most mistakes people make is they don't adjust the floor, they just set the floor and never go near it again. Well, we adjust the floor for the type of cattle that we're using every time. Then the squeeze works right because it's on the right angle. I think it does two things. It saves the animal getting injured because it's done in a manner that's safe for the animal, but it's also it's really quick and holds the animal safely so the workers can change those ear tags over quickly. It's made it a lot more efficient. If you release the head bale of the crush and then the squeeze part of the crush, the animal will just walk straight out. It won't back up. Now if you're handling 2,000 animals a day and every time you open the head bale in the old crush it walks backwards, and it takes, let's say, 5 seconds then to get that animal out of the crush, 5 seconds by 2,000 starts to add up to real time. For us they've been a great time saver. We found that it's made our cattle handling a whole lot easier. There's no doubt about it. It's not some sort of paid endorsement, it's just fact. And we buy 25 to 30,000 cattle a year, so we've got a lot of different brands of cattle, a lot of different handling methods, a lot of different types of, the way the cattle are. So our cattle handling is a lot more efficient, it's a lot better. So I'm not getting staff coming home at the end of the day with injuries. I'm not getting cattle with injuries out of the crush. They were our goals, and it's been 100% successful. We achieved our goals, but what we also achieved was this massive efficiency in handling. We went from handling 900 to 1,000 head a day through our manual crushes to handling 1,300, 1,500, and we've even put 1,800 and 1,900 through in a day. You know, when we're handling those big mobs of cattle, we've got a cross-brand cattle, ear tag cattle, give the cattle a treatment, but we get our animals through quicker and they're out in the paddock again quicker.
Ease of work on the employees, ease of work on the cattle, and the speed, I guess, in which we can put the cattle through. They'll get 5, 6, 7 or 8 treatments, just depending on what age they are, where they come from, what we're doing with them. Those cattle we did this morning had 7 treatments, and it's taking about 30 seconds to induct an animal. So the time efficiency is terrific. Body control is really important. We feel the animal's moving less, so we get less needle damage, as in going into the muscle rather than just staying under the skin. It's great with pre-testing because the heifer is standing so much stiller, and also when we AI, our AI technician loves the fact that the heifers are in a squeeze crush, because he said his semen placement is so much better with cattle in one of these crushes as opposed to an old-fashioned one. There's no doubt that it's safer. Yeah, really user-friendly when it comes to OH&S and animal welfare as well.
So at Bridge Creek, we run a pre-quarantine export depot. Volumes vary a bit from year to year, but we probably average somewhere around 70 to 100,000 head of cattle a year coming through the yards, doing pre-quarantine for export. Just in addition to that, we run a commercial herd of our own cattle, which all the standard things, that you do with them, vaccinating and pre-testing and whatnot. We've probably tried to implement a lot of OH&S and safety for our staff, as well as good animal welfare. And so I suppose the main benefit of the crush is when you catch an animal, it's immobilised and your staff are safe and can easily process the animal, as well as the animal is restrained and it can't injure itself, would be the main benefits, I'd say. Compared to other crushes that we've used, the speed and efficiency and the noise level, and added with the bonus of being able to restrain them correctly and OH&S and safety to your staff, and that it's the best crush we've used. Return on your investment, I suppose there's a couple of ways to look at it. There's the value of the animal, value of the livestock that you're putting through it, and the volumes that you're putting through it, as well as the added bonuses of no injuries to your staff and no mishaps with the animals at the same time as increasing productivity. If you're using it correctly with the blinkers on the side and the release the head and then release the squeeze, just depending on what processes you're doing to the animals, it's very efficient. One animal steps out, the next one steps in, and you can squeeze the crush up enough to slow them down so that they're not coming in flat out and you have to catch them in the head bale to stop them like they're actually just walking forwards one after the other, which really speeds it up. It's quite an efficient process.
We identified that at the end of the day, with our old sets of yards and our old crushes, that there was smarter, more efficient and safer ways of doing things, and hence we went with the silencer. In doing that, it's definitely made our life a lot easier and safer for our men and the cattle to begin with, which is number one. At the end of the day, we love using it. We're not busted at the end of a day now, and we're certainly not hurting the cattle. It's very gentle on them. For us and my staff to be able to come in the morning, see some arrival cattle, turn around and say, right, we're going to put them through the yards, there's certainly no issue with I suppose, rank cattle is the term anymore. They can be as wild as they want, and this takes all those hindrances away by just holding them firm and safely. But, it's safe for them and safe for our men.
Just the ease of using it, the speed of going through. It's when we're processing, we get through it pretty quickly. In saying that, it's never a race. I don't think it should be a race to see how fast you can get through it. So you take your time, you do the job properly.
I wanted to make sure everyone could do this type of work, not just the men, and I mean that in a polite way. I mean it where I could give Beck a roll for the day and go, right, you've got 100 head of cattle to go and induct, and I know safely and efficiently she would get that done with no trouble at all.
All the control the squeeze gives you, particularly when we're doing our AI program. After a while you sort of squeeze them enough, you catch them by the hip and they basically stand. The squeeze seems to have a calming effect on cattle.
And now we try to keep more people down the back to keep the cattle up at the front. One thing we do enjoy is now that we're not busted on an afternoon after catching 400 or 500 head of cattle, which has been normal days for us when we have to get it done and dusted. And you're rotating blokes across the front of the crush because it's so physically demanding. Whereas now, someone wants to come up and control this, you get almost bored standing there, so you go down the back to chase a few cattle. By the time you physically caught them, got them in, got them out, had to do what we do anyway, you're probably budgeting close to a minute per animal, whereas now it's probably 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds. It's a pleasure to be in the yards now. Everyone who's worked in a bad set of yards knows it. That's a really simple way of putting it. If it's a terrible designed, poorly looked after or dangerous set, it makes your day a lot longer and a lot less enjoyable.
You hate going to the other sets of yards that haven't got it. So you become a bit spoiled.
Well, as a livestock agent, I trade 300 to 500 bulls a year, feral type bulls and buffalo, so that's where the silencer comes into need for myself. Yeah, I'd be lost without it. Most people in the livestock industry just don't know how much they don't know about the crutch. I'm not going to endorse anything that doesn't work. With unskilled staff, like anyone can do the vaccination, anyone can do the branding, anyone can do the ear tagging without getting hurt and still be able to do it properly.
These crushers aren't going to break. You know, I've seen them out there now. Like the ones at Tipperary have been there for 4 years. Not one of them's broken. The metal side of it, like they're just never going to break.
But I think anyone who genuinely loves cattle, like I do, and enjoys working with good equipment and a setup where your staff aren't going to get hurt. I mean, anyone like that, once they know what they can do, they're going to want to have one at any price.